Good morning and welcome to the Jersey Magazine, the first of the year, January 1st. Happy New Year. Happy 2023. I'm Jim Monaghan. When I started this show back in August of 2021, my goal was to bring you different people, a magazine style show, thus the name Jersey Magazine. And we went around the country talking to various people about different topics. A lot of times it's mental health, sometimes it's sports, sometimes we just try to incorporate whatever the hot topic of the day is, with an emphasis on dealing with it here in New Jersey and specifically for WDHA listeners. This morning, no guest. It's just me and a couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about on this New Year's Day. A lot of new year, new me stuff you'll see going on. Fitness industry, they love this, boy. Hey, I'm losing those 10 pounds this year and I'm starting January 1st. Well, okay, maybe January 2nd. But there are a couple of thoughts that I wanted to share with you this morning, and hopefully I can tie all of this in together. I had the great fortune of getting to know Clint Hurdle. As you probably know, I have a big fascination and love for baseball and have participated in it at some level, whether it be as a player or as a coach, instructor, whatever, for a number of years. And I was very fortunate to play under Clint Hurdle. He was my manager, if you will, at a Mets fantasy camp some years ago. Baseball fans know who Clint is. He played and coached, managed in the Mets system, managed the Pittsburgh Pirates. He managed the Colorado Rockies to the World Series, and he's in the front office now with the Rockies. Well, back in 2009, Clint started sending out text messages of encouragement to about a dozen of his close friends. He was working for the Rockies organization at the time. 2 months into that season in 2009, he was let go and he stopped sending those messages. About 6 weeks later, on a vacation with his family, he received a text from one of the people who was on that list saying, "Hey, are you okay? Haven't gotten your messages in a while." And he said, "Yeah, I'm okay." And the woman said to Clint, "Well, I'm not. I miss your messages." So he would put together this email list. She said, "Clint, you're making a difference. So continue it." So he started sending the texts again and ultimately put it into an email list, as I said. And that group of 12 who he texted has now grown into more than 7,000 subscribers. And you can check out that list at clinthurdle.com if you like. So every day, Clint sends out a couple of emails. One is on a more spiritual side. One is more like personal development, encouragement, things of that, if you will. And one of them came out on December 23rd by a guy named John O'Leary. Clint forwarded this. It's called Monday Motivation. And John's story is very interesting. He's in his mid-40s now, but at the age of 9, John was badly burned in a home accident. The burns covered about 100% of his body, and the doctors were not very optimistic about John's chances to survive. In fact, they told his parents he's got about a 1% chance to live. And John was aware, not necessarily of that 1% number, but he knew things were bad. And he asked his mom, like, what's going on? And she didn't really want to sugarcoat it too much, but she also didn't want to completely depress the 9-year-old son. And she said, "This is up to you. You can beat this, but this is up to you." Well, needless to say, he is beating it. And as I said, he puts out this Monday motivation email every week, and Clint Hurdle forwards these. So I wanted to read this to you. It's called, "What Legacy Are You Leaving?" Now, we all have some kind of legacy, whether we know it or not. And I'm a big fan of that phrase, you get one chance to make a first impression. So no matter what it is that you do, whether it's me as a disc jockey, in fact, I just saw something the other day where someone on a Facebook post said that Jim Monaghan was the first voice he heard when he tuned into the radio station. I'm like, boy, I hope I was good that day. But if you're a teacher and a kid walks into your classroom, well, you may be the first teacher that this kid ever encounters. Whatever your business is, someone calls on the phone, someone emails, someone walks into that place of business. You might be the first person that they encounter. You get to make one first impression. I know as a baseball coach that's important for me. It's important for the players too. I tell them all the time, you want to impress the coaches, you got one chance to make that first impression. And I, as a coach, have one chance to make a first impression. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Or, hey, I like this guy. I think I'm going to get better with him coaching me. So anyway, the idea of legacy came up. Like, what legacy will you leave behind, whether it's personally or professionally? So John O'Leary, a couple of weeks ago, wrote this. And he said, the lesson we can all learn from the life of Albert Nobel. With the printed words, Le marchand de la mort est mort, my French is horrible, I apologize. With those printed words, the life of not only one man who read them profoundly changed, but so did the entire world. Let me explain what happened and why it matters to you. Alfred Bernhard Nobel was born into a large family in Stockholm, Sweden. From a young age, he exhibited traits of being both extraordinarily bright as well as being unreservedly fascinated by explosives. As he grew older, the childhood fascination with explosives shaped what he studied and the career he pursued. Becoming a chemist, engineer, and entrepreneur, Nobel opened a small factory that produced a volatile explosive called nitroglycerin. As business grew, he sought a safer way to detonate nitroglycerin and invented blasting caps. Business expanded exponentially after he invented a new explosive called dynamite. Operating almost 100 factories, he became fabulously wealthy as his dynamite was used to expand the railroad and roadways in developing countries. His dynamite, blasting caps, and nitroglycerin were also used with ruthless effect as weapons that dramatically expanded the way nations waged war. Nobel was a prominent socialite, a world traveler, and an international tycoon with more than 300 patents and vast wealth when he died in 1888. Upon confirmation of his death, a French newspaper ran his obituary and began with the headline, Le marchand de la mort est mort. Again, I apologize for my French. That translates into English as, the merchant of death is dead. It was a sentiment shared by many around the world who had experienced the hideously deadly effects of his weapons. It was an apt description for someone who accumulated close to $1 billion in today's value, expanding the global ability to wage war. And if the story ends there, it's maybe interesting, yet not ultimately important. There's far more to this story, and to yours. In reality, it was not Alfred who had passed away, but his brother, Ludwig Nobel. The paper erroneously ran the obituary for the wrong brother. Talk about fake news. As a result, Nobel was able to see firsthand how he'd be remembered. He was able to apprehend before his death the legacy he was creating while living. And because of that, he was able to make changes to leave a radically different legacy. When he ultimately passed away in December of 1896, Nobel's last will and testament wrote that much of his fortune was to be used to give prizes to those who had done their best for humanity. And so, for the past 120 years, the finest from around the world are celebrated with the cherished Nobel Prize. It is given to the greatest of us in physics, chemistry, physiology or medicine, literature, economic sciences, and most ironically of all, peace. Alfred Nobel saw how he was going to be remembered and determined to change the way he lived his life. The merchant of death became the champion of peace. My friends, likewise, we are free to consider how our efforts professionally, relationships personally, involvement in the community, what we let go of, what we hold on to, and how we utilize the days of our lives impacts those around us. We are leaving a legacy and get to determine how it reads. Although few of us know when we're going to die, there is no excuse to not begin authoring a legacy that positively changes the world one life at a time, starting with our own. This is your day. Live inspired. And again, that is from John O'Leary. And you can check out John's work, by the way, all his Monday motivation and other blog posts that he has at johnolearyinspires.com. And I thought on this first day of the new year that was really an important message, sharing legacy. How will we be remembered? You think back to John as that 9-year-old boy, and he knew he was badly burned, and he knew it was a serious condition. And his mom saying, this is really up to you. So I don't know that he knew what legacy was at the age of 9, but he certainly made a decision at that young age, like, I'm continuing. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a difference some way, shape, or form. You may be familiar with a baseball writer by the name of Steve Gilbert. There's a baseball theme here, of course, with me. He covers the Arizona Diamondbacks for MLB.com. And this is another email that Clint Hurdle forwards. In fact, he does it pretty much every year because Steve has a familiar theme each year. Those of you who have been on this list for a while will recognize this is my annual alternative to New Year's resolutions emails. We were talking new year, new me. Do you set a goal? Do you set a resolution? Sometimes goals are easier to achieve than resolutions, and sometimes it's vice versa. At any rate, Steve continues, it's called one word. My friend John Gordon has written a book about it. In fact, you may know who John is. The Energy Bus is his book. It's a really good book if you want to check that out. My friend John Gordon has written a book about it, and it was through him that I was inspired to try it. I found it to be far more effective than making a list of resolutions that fall by the wayside quickly. We've all had that. I'm losing 10 pounds this year. I'm going to exercise every day. I'm going to blah, 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 blah. Here's how it works. Pick one word that best summarizes what it is you're looking to improve on in 2023. It could be any word, but it can only be one word, not multiple words or a phrase. Steve continues, some examples include clarity, passion, purpose, calm, focus, joy. The idea is that the choices you make or the way you live this year is guided by the word you have chosen. It's simple, but it's also very powerful. It's a word that can relate to a number of different areas in your life. For example, if you were to choose focus, it could be to apply to the way you approach your tasks at your job, listening to your spouse, partner, children, being present with what's going on around you, etc. Today, start thinking about your word for 2023. Once you settle on it, begin posting it around you. Maybe one taped to your mirror, one written at the top of your daily to-do list, one on a sticky note on your computer, so that you have plenty of reminders. And then Steve signs his emails with win your day. So as you settle in on this New Year's Day morning, and you got a new year, new me, what's the one word? Focus, peace, relax, attentive, whatever that word is. I hope it works for you. I hope you have a wonderful new year. Thank you for listening to the Jersey Magazine here at 105.5 WDHA, and Happy New Year.